Hi, I'm Carl Gustafson with DNM Professional, and this is an overview video of our new DN700R and DN500R SD USB audio recorders. Both of them are replacement products, the 700R replacing the PMD580 and the 500R replacing the DNF650R from Denon Professional. And they follow our new design theory, you know, the 700 series, single rack mount, blue backlit LEDs, while the 500R is also a single rack space, but it follows the 500 series of the orange. We're going to start first with the 700R. The 700R, like we said, is a network SD USB audio recorder, and it's a replacement for the popular Marantz Professional PMD580. This one we're really excited about because the PMD580 has had incredible successes over the 5 or 6 years that it's been available. And this machine comes right on its heels and adds so much feature and so much flavor and new things that you can do with it that it makes it much more available and much more user-friendly for a much wider range of applications. So basically it is an audio recorder. It records WAV and MP3 audio to any of those solid-state medias, be it SD, SDHC, or USB drives. And it's the main driver of the 700R is its network ability and its ability to archive files over the network via FTP. So you can send the files once they're done recording to other locations on or actually via FTP off of the network, which is something that the PMD580 didn't accomplish. So the main features of the 700R, like we said, it does use MP3 and WAV. It can do the full bit rate of MP3, so from 64 kilobits per second, which is actually 32 per channel stereo, all the way up to 320, as well as WAV formats from 16 all the way up to 24-bit 96K. It has a dual record feature, which is the first thing that sets it out from the PMD580. The PMD580 only had one media slot, and that slot was compact flash. This one actually has 3 media options. You have 2 SD drives and a USB drive, which could be a thumb drive, or it could be a USB mass storage hard drive. And with the dual record feature, what it does is you can choose 2 of those medias, so SD1 and the USB drive, or SD1 and SD2, or SD2 and the USB drive, and it'll record to both of those simultaneously. This is really beneficial for applications like conference recording, where the facility wants to record the whole presentation, but perhaps the speaker wants a copy of it when he leaves. So now the facility can record to the SD card and to a USB drive that was supplied by the speaker at the same time, and as soon as that recording's over, you can yank the thumb drive and you still have your copy of the recording. You don't have to do any bouncing back and forth. Some of the other products that are out there have multiple media slots, but what you have to do after the fact is after the meeting is recorded, you have to copy the file from one media to the other, or you have to take it out and put it into a workstation and do it that way. This one allows you to copy to 2 media simultaneously. Also works for backup recording too, just in case there was a drive failure. You get that backup security, you know, it's kind of feels good to know that it's recording in 2 places. The other benefit of the multiple media slots is relay recording. So you can set it to record to SD1, and as soon as SD1's card is full, if nobody's there to manage it or the thing is just continuously recording, the machine will simultaneously switch over to what has been designated as a backup media. So I could set SD1 as my primary and SD2 as my backup, and when SD1 gets full, SD2 will automatically take over and it'll start recording there. That way I get super extended record times, and it's nice then for basically you get almost this 24/7 type record feature. The machine also has file archiving. So it's via FTP, and it can happen either automatic, so as soon as a file has been closed, be it auto track increment or the machine stopped recording, you can say, go archive those files now. Or you can time it. So if the machine has, let's say you record 10 lectures throughout the day, and you don't want to consume any network traffic or network bandwidth during the day, you could say, well, at 2 a.m. nobody's on the network, and I want to archive all my files then. So it'll record all the files throughout the day, and then at 2 a.m. it'll automatically back them up. It also has this 24/7 recording feature. So basically the machine has the ability to archive while it's recording. So in the instance of relay recording, like I was speaking about a minute ago, the machine, once that card has completed and filled up, and SD2 takes over to start recording, the machine can simultaneously back up all of SD1. So it'll clear off that card, and that card will be completely archived while SD2 is recording. And that basically now gives you this 24/7 record feature. It has an enhanced web remote, which allows you to set up schedules much easier. It's much easier for users to understand and much easier to follow. It's also great for control, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes here. The XLR inputs on the back of it, this is another feature that a lot of people with the PMD 580 had requested. The XLR inputs are not just line level, they're also mic level, and they're independently switchable and can supply 48 volt phantom power. So what we mean by independent switchable is I have an application where I want to bug a room for security measures, and I want to have a hidden microphone in the ceiling that takes, obviously a mic level signal, and it requires 48 volt phantom power, but I'm also going to have a line input from a telephone. So now this machine, you can set it up to work that way, where I have one input that is supplying 48 volt and set to mic level, and the other one is set to line level to record off a telephone. This machine can do that. The 580 and a lot of others out there can't do that. It has timer recording and playback. So I can go into the machine's web interface, or you can actually do it from the front panel, and it's very intuitive. I can set up 30 record timers or 30 playback timers, and we call them events because one timer can consist of a 5-day schedule. So one event can be, I want to record at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday for 1 hour long. And that's only one timer, that's not 5 timers. So we call them events in that case. And both from the record portion and the playback portion, you get 30 each to program. The machine is controllable by a various amount of outlets. You can control it via IP, so if you want to send it telnet, you can. You can use the internal web remote, so any machine or any device with a standard web browser can navigate the machine as long as they're on the same network or have access to that network. You can control it serially via RS-232. There's also a GPIO port on the back, so in broadcast applications where they're still using triggers, or in a lighting rig in a theater or a museum exhibit where somebody trips a motion sensor, you can use that as a control portion. The machine actually has a USB port on the front, which will allow you to control it from a USB keyboard. And then Denon Professional's RCF 400 hot start remote, you can actually control the playback portions of the machine with that. So you can fire off 20 audio files to play all at the same time just from the push of the button. There is a record monitor feature. We featured this on our PMD 671 and then of course our legacy cassette decks. And this is basically third head monitoring. It's done at the device. So let's say a user has headphones plugged into the machine and he wants to confirm that the recording is actually happening. With record monitor engaged, the user actually can listen to the file off of the card and not the audio just looping through to the outputs. So it's kind of a confidence monitoring situation, which is very handy in a lot of the government and other applications that we deal with. And then there's a signal pass-through feature. This was another one that was collected from our users. This allows the user to disable the audio outputs when in record mode. We had a lot of applications where PMD 580s or DNF 650s were installed, like let's say in a church, and they were used both for recording and sometimes for playback, never at the same time. And when the users went and they engaged record, because they used that machine for playback, they obviously had it coming in through their console, and then the user would have to go and disengage or mute those channels where the outputs was coming in. With signal pass-through feature, I can go into the machine and say, anytime I put this machine in record or record pause mode, just please disable the audio outputs. That way I don't have to go over and manage it in multiple places. And then of course, once I stop recording and I want to go play back, those outputs are automatically back enabled. So it's a convenience feature for the user, especially in those types of applications. It does support network time protocols, so you can always make sure that your time-based events are to the second. You can sync to ntp.gov or you can sync to your own NTP servers, whatever you want to do. So that's a very handy feature as well. There is a syslog feature where you can install a kind of a WinSocket, a server, and then this machine will communicate all activity with that server. So if there's a red flag, say somebody left the SD card door open, this machine will actually generate a log file that says that and tell the server so people can understand if there were errors, what happened, or just to monitor to make sure the machine is working correctly. This machine has a very bright OLED display, which is very easy to see in any environment, and it actually is a huge upgrade from the previous PMD 580. Of course, it can be dimmer, it's dimmable, so you can turn it off and you don't have to see it. That way, there's always people that don't want to see the screen on if it's in a dark rack or something like that. You can also turn it off and then manage everything from one of the control interfaces. But if you are working in front of the machine, you can trust me that the display on this is far superior to anything that we've ever used. And it does have a switching power supply. This machine, we have a lot of cruise ship customers, and this machine is able to work on anything from 100 to 230 volts, so that's also very handy and something that our previous product did not have. Going through the front panel from real briefly from left to right, on the left-hand side, you have your power standby button and your power mode indicator. This will tell you if the machine's in network standby or in full standby or if the machine is on. Right next to that, you have your headphone control with, or headphone output with full level control, and that headphone knob there is a push-pull locking knob, so you can set it and lock it into place. You have your USB ports. One of them is for the USB drive that is used as one of the media sources. The other one is for the control port. If you want to control it with a USB keyboard or you want to name files on the fly, you can do that right there. Here are your two SD card doors. The little dots that are there on the left-hand side there in the presentation, there's little dots off on the right-hand side of the door, and those can be removed, and you can actually put in a small thumb screw so that it's harder to get those cards out. Below that is some editing function buttons. So if you wanted to do some file editing right on the face of the machine, you can do that there. There's the bright OLED display, which we'll go to in a second. Above the transport controls, there are some more control buttons that allow you for entering the menu and doing some searching and stuff. Below that are the transport control buttons, which are very easy to see in dark locations. You have the jog wheel, which used to navigate menus and turn volume up and down, turn record level up and down, and a back button, as well as the rack ears. And the rack ears on all of our new 500 and 700 series models are removable. So if you have an instance where you want to put it into a shelf or put it into a special case that doesn't require a 19-inch rack mount, you can do that with these machines. On the back panel, again from left to right, these are your analog inputs, both balanced and unbalanced. Again, the balanced inputs are mic line switchable independently and can supply 48-volt phantom power like we talked about in the main features. Next to that are your digital inputs. You have a balanced digital AES EBU input as well as unbalanced coaxial input. You have your balanced and unbalanced audio outputs, your balanced and unbalanced AES format digital outputs. Here's the network port, the LAN port, which is where everything, the whole magic of the machine happens, I guess. Next to that is RS-232 and the GPIO port and the removable IEC weighted AC inlet. Again, it operates 100 to 230 volt multi-voltage. Here's the display over there on the, it would be to your left. It looks very confusing, but what's really great about this is at instant glance, you can tell everything that's available on the display. Up there in the upper right-hand corner, it tells you how much of your media has been consumed and how much is remaining, and it tells that for both of your media choices. You can tell how many tracks are on the card, if pitch control is on, and what percentage it's sent to. If people are accessing it via RS-232 or via the network, it shows that right there. You can tell if phantom power is engaged on either of those channels. Along the right-hand side of the display is any of the functionalities that may be happening. Of course, you can tell what folder you're in, what the name of the file is, the date and the time that's set to the machine. It's all right here. The little display that's on the slide there to your left shows it's another mode for record. So if you hit the display mode, what it does is it removes a lot of the ancillary information that may or may not be necessary, and it gives you a big VU meter so you can see where your record levels are at. You can toggle back and forth between those displays when you're in the record mode. Below that, at the bottom of the display, or the bottom of the slide, is the playback mode. So it gives you some different information, but again, you can look at it and see exactly what's happening on the device at a moment's glance once you get used to the icons. So it's something that you should be aware of, and when you get in and you start, it looks like it right now, like a lot of information on the screen, but really it's not, and it's so handy to be able to see, I'm recording an MP3 and I know exactly where it's going to get archived to and everything like that. So it's a handy feature. The file archiving function of the DN700R uses the FTP protocol. The PMD580 uses CIFS, which standard for Common Internet File Sharing. The problem with CIFS was, unless you had a really smart network technician, you had to be on the same network or two networks that were bridged together, because CIFS is basically the same thing you use if I want to go dial into another computer that's on my network, and they share files back and forth. With FTP, I can archive my files to any FTP location anywhere on the world, whether or not I have access. Well, obviously you need access, but I don't have to be on that network. So let's say I record a client brief that I'm meeting with a client for a web design that I'm putting together, and then I want to archive that. I can actually send that to a server that's offline, off the network, and the machine will automatically archive the entire audio meeting that I had, and that's accessible. So in instances like a church, where the PMD580 before, you would have to drop the file onto a user's computer, and from there they could upload it to the server. With the 700R, this machine can just automatically upload it even to a third-party web server that the church may manage. On this device also, the user password will support special characters. The PMD580, we had some complaints where they were in rather robust infrastructures and it was just an alphanumeric password that the 580 could use. This one will support most special characters, so if they have some passwords that are, much more security oriented, where they're using ampersands or dollar signs or periods, this machine will support those as well. Again, it has the auto and timed archive modes, so I can either, as soon as the file closes or as soon as recording is stopped, the machine can archive, or I can say, no, please archive everything when there's much less network traffic. Clear after archive is the auto deletion portion, and this is where your full 24/7 unattended recording operation can take place. What it does is it takes the oldest archive files, and the machine will say, did this file archive correctly? Do I know that this file was archived and it's fine? And when then it recognizes that, if auto deletion is turned on, then the machine will automatically delete that file to clear up free space on the card. So now I have SD1 and it records, and the card fills up. And then SD2 will take over automatically with the relay record. So it's recording and it's recording. And while it's happening, the machine will start to archive SD1 to the server. And SD2 continues to record. Once that archive is completed from SD1 and it's successful, the machine will delete all of the files on SD1 and it'll wait for SD2 to fill up. And when SD2 fills up, SD1 will automatically start recording. And then SD2 will begin to archive. And it can just continuously go. The other way that this works is, say you're just recording the one piece of media, and perhaps you have auto track increment turned on. So the machine is going to make a new file every 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever you decide to set it to. As soon as that first file is closed, the second file will start, and this file will start archiving. And it'll keep going. So you can actually have this 24/7 automatic recording, unattended recording, happen even off of one media choice. So it's very powerful in that regard. And again, this allows for unattended operation. This is great for education environments, government environments, anything that's doing surveillance, any type of financial industry, and of course houses of worship as well. You can just say, this thing needs to record every day from 10 to 11 for our services, and then once the card gets full, it'll make sure that all those files are archived, and it'll start deleting files oldest first until there's enough space to complete the next recording. Again, the control portions of it, you can control it from the front panel. A lot of people found the 580 programming the schedules on that to be kind of cumbersome, so they were taking advantage of the browser, which also was not as good as the 700R's browser. But programming this device from the front panel is really pretty slick. With that very vivid OLED display we talked about earlier, there are actually windows on top of windows that you can use to navigate the device. So it makes it a lot easier for the user to understand. Again, you can control it serially through RS-232, Crestron, AMX. They'll have modules available for all of these products. The parallel port, again, if you have something that wants to trigger it, you can do that. IP control, and one of the main points about the IP control is you can actually assign a port for the web browser. So let's say everybody does have access to the network, but you can actually specify, well, I want this on port, whatever, a different port other than something that's completely open. So that was another feature that was requested on the 580 that we've supplied here on the 700R. Again, you can control it from a USB keyboard plugged in right to the front. I have full transport control of the machine. I can actually even name files while it's recording, all from just a $5 USB keyboard. And again, the RCF 400 hot start remote will allow you to hot start playback from the device. And then the web remote. So what is the web remote? Well, it's an inbuilt website for the DN700R right on the device. So anybody that has access to the 700R or the network that the 700R is on can dial into this web remote and they get full setup capabilities, full transport control, full scheduling interface, everything. And it's greatly enhanced from the PMB 580. Users will find it very easy to operate and to navigate. It does also give you an audio level meter, just the audio level meter display. So that's also very handy. You can dial right in and make sure that the machine is working and all of that information. The web remote also has 3 permission levels. So you get an admin permission level, which allows for full control and setup of the machine. You have an operator permission level, which will give you some control of the machine, and then you have an observer permission level, which will just go in and say, okay, I can make sure that the machine's working. And that's also something that is different from our other machines. Product Manager is a software suite that comes with the 700R, and what it does is allow for a single point software system. It's Mac or PC compatible, that'll allow you to navigate all of the 700Rs that are on the network from a single location. So rather than having to search for all these devices, this will go out and it'll find all the 700 series products that are on the network. And when I mean that, it'll find the 700R as well as our 700C network-based broadcast CD player. And you can control and access all of them right from one enterprise level. The machine Product Manager also gives the user the ability to set up power on sequences. So let's say I have a whole block of 700Rs that I want to turn on all at once. I can set up a unique group that says send it to these 5 700Rs but not these 3, or these 3 broadcast CD players but not these recorders. And I can time them to do that as well, which is a real handy interface in places that are managing a lot of devices. DMP Mark Editor is a software suite that comes with the device as well. Unfortunately, this is only PC compatible. But what it does is it's a very simple editing program. It allows you to zoom in and analyze your waveforms. You can cut and divide files. You can create new files. You can save them to other formats. The real powerful feature of the DMP Mark Editor is the ability to, let's say I was recording a meeting on my 700R. It's a village board meeting or something like that, and every time a new point was brought up or we went to a new portion of the meeting minutes, I dropped an EDL mark into that file. When I import those files into DMP Mark Editor, all of those marks will come with it, and so I can separate files based on where those marks are, or I can just instantly navigate to those marks. So that's a very feature, and that very handy feature, and that's available for the DMP Mark Editor. Not only is the 700R a great recorder, but it's also one of our best solid-state audio players. It supports MP3 and WAV just like it records, but it also supports AIFF formats or AIFF formats in the AAC file extension or M4A file extension. Again, you get 30 playback timers, so now I can go in and I can schedule events to play based on time. Let's say in my museum every day at 9 a.m., I want to play a welcoming message or something like that. I can record files, put them on the SD card or the USB drive, and then every day at 9 a.m. play welcome message, and it'll automatically do this. And again, there's 30 of those events. We call them events, not timers, and that's because I can have that same playback message play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that doesn't count as 5 timers. That's 1 timer or 1 event. You can program playback, so I can make a playback list and play a program of files. It does have skip back via the USB keyboard, the parallel remote, the web remote, the RS-232. So if I'm in a transcription environment, I recorded a whole bunch of meetings on this, and then I want to transcribe those, I can actually be playing back, and then I can hit a trigger that says jump back 10 seconds or 30 seconds. That's the skip back function, and that's available as well in playback modes. It does have pitch and master key control, so I can speed up or slow down the file as a whole, or I can speed up the file but not change the key of the file. And that's handy in broadcast. Obviously, you want to speed up things a little bit, or in fitness, or even in church environments. There are 20 hot starts available, and those can be triggered from the web remote, from the parallel port, from the RS-232, from any IP control, as well as the Denon hot start remote. What's kind of neat about this is the web remote, how we said it was greatly enhanced, is mobile compatible. So I can walk around with an iPad that's tied to the same network as the 700R, and there's a specific screen that'll give me the 20 hot starts. And let's say I just want to fire a file off, and I can do that wirelessly from a crowd or from behind a podium if I'm doing sound effects. And that's capable of being done on this product as well as our 700C. And because the web remote is mobile enabled, you could actually do it from an Android phone or anything like that, and you can highlight those buttons real easily. It's kind of a real neat feature. It does have frame accurate searching, so if you want to get to a specific point, you can do that. A/B repeat mode is available via IP control or RS-232, not from the front panel. And the machine is actually capable of streaming from a network server. So let's say we have a band room, and this will turn in, kind of join all of the features that we've talked about together. I have a band room, and I want to rehearse this song with the jazz ensemble, and that song is on my computer in my office. From this device, I can dial into my office's computer because it's enabled as a DLNA server, and I can stream that audio into the band room. So we listen to the song, and then I hit stop, and now I want to record the combo playing it. When I hit record on any of our other devices, or just about anybody else's device, when I hit record, because it doesn't have the signal pass-through feature, all of a sudden the 2 mics that are hanging in the room are going to start feedbacking through the speaker system. And because I have signal pass-through turned off, when I hit record, those mics now will not feed back into the thing, into the room, and now we get to be able to record that file. Again, also because this machine has mic preamps with 48 volt, I don't need any kind of mic preamps for the band director to utilize. So now I just have mics plugged into the back of this machine, and we're recording the file. As soon as the band's done playing it, we want to review it, we can go back, and I can play it right back out through the system. If I wanted to use pitch control, saying, you know what, you guys were a little slow on that file, or on that track, we can speed it up, and then the kids can hear how it sounds like. So using all these features combined is something that this machine is capable of doing, and it's basically a one-box solution. Obviously, you need the speakers and the amps, but other than that, I'm recording right to this device like it was a portable recorder, I'm streaming audio from my PC in my office, and I'm playing back through the system, and I can actually navigate it from my director stand from my iPad. So you can pretty much do anything with this recorder. Comparing it to the 580, obviously right there on the left, there's a lot of features that the 700R has over the 580. We'll just highlight a few. Again, it's been upgraded from CF to USB and SDHC. The relay and dual record modes are huge upgrades over the 580. Again, the XLR analog inputs being mic line. switchable and independent with 48-volt phantom power. You can archive files while recording, which the 580 didn't do. The enhanced playback capabilities with the timers or the event playbacks are pretty powerful. The record monitor feature for confidence monitoring. Again, the signal pass-through feature and the syslog, so you can monitor this constantly to make sure that your recordings are happening when you want them. All huge upgrades over the PMD 580. Now we'll go into this 500R. Very briefly, the 500R is exactly the same thing. It's an SD USB audio recorder, records MP3 and WAV just like its big brother 700R. It does have a switching power supply. The main features are very similar to the 700R. You get the dual record feature, you get relay recording, the timer recording and playback recording with 30 per function. All the remote control ports are the same, except for obviously you don't have the network portion on the back of it. It does also have the record third head monitoring, so if you have a standalone operation where you don't need the network functionality but you still want that confidence that the machine was recording, you can get that with the 500R. And again, it has that same bright OLED display we talked about. You'll notice on the front panel there to the left, the 500R is exactly the same as the 700R. It has its orange backlit to follow the 500 series. It does not have the second SD card. You only get one SD card and the USB. And on the back panel, it's exactly the same, but you don't get the Ethernet port. We do also want to very much note that the 500R, the XLR balanced inputs are not mic line switchable. They are only line input. So if you need that mic input functionality, you got to go up to the 700R. Here are all those features. There's no Ethernet capabilities between this and the 700R. You only get one SD card slot. There is no microphone preamps, and obviously the event reporting that happens over the network is not possible with the 500R because it doesn't have the Ethernet port. But over its predecessor, the 650, there are huge advantages, and we will highlight a few of those here. On the left, you'll notice the huge list, but mainly relay and dual record. The 650 did not have this. Recording and playback timers, the 650 did not have. The third head monitoring, the 650 did not have. Power on record based on the playback timers and power on playback, or power on record and playback based on the timers, is a new feature. So the machine can be sitting in standby mode, and basically at 9:30 if it has, or 9 a.m. if it has to play that welcome call, it will. And it'll wake up and it'll start playing that welcome call and then go on throughout its day from there. The signal pass-through feature that we talked about with the 700R is a huge upgrade over its predecessor. The 500R has that as well. On this machine, you do get separate left-right input control, which was not available on the 580 or the 650R. So if I need to crank up the left side a little bit more, you can do that on these devices where you couldn't on their predecessors. And the removable rack kit, we believe, is a pretty handy feature that the other products did not have. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. You can email us at techsupport@d-mpro.com. You can check us out on the web at www.d-mpro.com, or you can give us a call at 630-741-0330, extension 1. Thanks again.